mini therapy session for your inner child. I'm talking about safety here, safety for the inner child. So if you want to understand safety for your inner child, stay tuned. Keep listening. This is for you. When we are exploring inner child work, safety is the base level Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so when we think of safety, we often think of shelter, food, and water. That is like the base level of staying alive, right? However, when our system feels unsafe, it isn't only about shelter, food, and water. When our nervous system tracks something that feels unsafe, it might replicate the same things that it would feel in your system if you were like physically unsafe and were not going to get food, not going to get shelter, not going to get water, could like physically die, right? Or be in harm's way. If you emotionally feel unsafe, your system actually can replicate that same exact feeling. The system doesn't know the difference of whether or not you're going to physically die or if you emotionally feel like you're going to die. And so it might replicate that same like protection that happens when any source of unsafety comes online. The body will respond the same way. And so if your inner child lacked safety, anytime you feel a lack of safety in your system, in a relationship, with your job, financially, your system turns on that base level Maslow's hierarchy of needs trigger, and it says, all right, survive, fight or flight. What are you going to do? How are we going to stay alive? How are we going to get our next meal? Is the form of shelter safe? What do we do? And imagine your system constantly being in that. And so I think we're living in a world right now where oftentimes our root chakra, our Maslow's hierarchy of needs of safety, often gets turned on when that actual lack of safety isn't always there. It's just this illusion that it's not there. And so when we are looking to integrate with our inner child and hold them and say, you are safe now, I got you, we are rewiring what it means to be safe. Hey, I want you to know you have shelter, you have food, you have water. And where your system is feeling unsafe right now, emotionally, relationally, how can I provide it safety? How can I show you that you are safe in this moment? When I'm feeling this desire to get hard and to plan and research and protect myself, this is often like a really big flight response. When you're in that base level Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're really often going into that flight, like planning, researching, controlling, or fight, and you're like literally fighting for resources. So notice what your system tends to go into. It can show up often. For me, it's like planning, researching, or it's in perfectionism of really trying to like keep everything as orderly as possible, or do it right, or to figure it out in the best way, or do it better, because if I do it better, then maybe I'm safer. And so notice what fight or flight responses typically come up for you, because in doing that, how can we provide our system the opposite? And so instead of fighting, how can I soften? Instead of flighting, how can I stay? So softening and staying is typically the best way to support your inner child when you feel a lack of safety. How can I sit with what is? Instead of reacting right away, if my system actually isn't in a lack of safety, how can I sit with and stay with and explore what my inner child is saying to me? Maybe this relationship, say, for instance, doesn't feel safe to me. I don't feel safe around you. I don't feel safe emotionally, verbally, mentally, sexually, whatever it may be in a relationship where you might feel a potential lack of safety. How can you take a step back, sit with what emotions are coming up, and say, how can I respond? Instead of reacting, how can I respond to myself? Not to them, to myself. And sometimes this looks like setting boundaries, right? If you're going to freeze mode because you feel unsafe, you're actually needing boundaries to support yourself. If you go into people pleasing and trying to escape or abandon yourself in order to merge with somebody else, you're actually looking at needing some sort of softening inward to yourself, exploring your internal world versus abandoning and going to somebody else. And so all of these fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses are looking for us to turn inward and say, is my system really lacking safety right now? How can I realize that a response could be better than a reaction? How can I, instead of being in reaction to life, really be fully immersed in what is surfacing in my system? Because the inner child is bubbling emotions up to the surface for you to process unprocessed past experience. And so your inner child is saying, okay, you felt a lack of safety at age 5. Now your nervous system has the capacity to approach that differently. I'm going to give you an experience that makes that nervous system response come to the surface, and then I want you to hold it. I want you to sit with it. I want you to stay with it. I want you to allow that energy to move and say, hey, I'm safe here. I'm going to hold you. I'm not going to react the same way. I'm going to respond differently. So safety is built as we integrate with our inner child and say, I can approach this in a new way. I can approach it in a new way. This is our evolution as humans when we're integrating with past versions of ourselves to approach it new. We don't want to keep playing the same nervous system pattern and reintegrating it more. We want to show the system it is safer as we hold the hand of our inner child and provide more safety, more safety, more safety, because we take on more of an approach of sitting with and exploring to feel. As we feel, we integrate deeper with these past versions of ourselves in a new way, shifting the wiring and becoming a more integrated, secure, rooted version of ourselves now versus reacting based on past energy that is stored or repressed from past parts of our lives. So if this resonates with you, let me know. I would love to support you. I am taking on some new clients right now. If you're looking to deepen your inner child work, if you're in the Austin, Texas area, I will be ideally doing some in-person work soon. Otherwise, all things can be virtual for anywhere in the world. Happy integrating with your inner child, and know you are safe, you are held to sit with yourself.